10 seconds. Goes to the corner to shoot a three.
Giannis.
Oh, he's licking his chops. He fell down.
Hello, welcome to the newest episode of The Debate Mates. I'm your co-host, Matthew Swanberg, and I'm honored to be here today with our first official guest of the new Debate Mates season, my old basketball coach, and one of the nicest people in the world, Coach Stretch. To take your time to come in.
Thank you.
All right. So you got a lot of talk. Well, you introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Kashif Johnson, also known as Coach Stretch. I am CEO, Executive Director, and founder of Tribe Nation Basketball Academy, where I train and mentor basketball players ages 4 through adult. Matthew was one of my first clients ages ago, eons ago, man. So right now we're just giving back and pushing forward.
All right, so I'm glad that you want to be on for your self-production, or self-promotion. So we don't have a lot, okay, let me start over. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's just jump right into it. Today we're going to be doing our playoff preview. By the time you're watching this, the first game of the series of the playoffs will probably have started, that being Brooklyn versus 76ers. So Stretch, do you have a preference? Want to start in the East or the West?
We can start East.
All
East
right.
not the least this year, so we can start in the East.
All right, so the first series in the Eastern Conference is Milwaukee versus Detroit. Milwaukee owns the season series 4-0. Stretch, what are your predictions?
It's sweet.
Sweet.
Greek Freak, the MVP, it's a massacre. Sweet. Also, Michael Brogdon's supposed to be coming back. It's going to be a mess. Detroit doesn't really belong in the playoffs.
If anyone said I could only watch all of the series but my two I would not want to watch would be Toronto and Orlando, and then Milwaukee and Detroit. I feel like those two teams are the most, they're just like the worst teams that could have made the playoffs. I wanted to see Charlotte or Miami in either of these spots.
Yeah, it's a big mismatch, especially that Detroit, because you're talking about Andre Drummond. When Milwaukee goes small, they put Giannis at the 5. Like, Andre Drummond can't check that guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big mismatch all the way across the board.
And another big question mark with Detroit is, as most of you probably know, Blake Griffin tweaked his knee a couple days ago, I think on Tuesday. Didn't play in the final game of the season that clinched the playoffs for them. They were still lucky enough to beat New York in a blowout win. So if you don't, because
crap show.
Most likely you would want to put Blake Griffin on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's got the best size and height to guard him. And if he's injured, then you've got no one.
Right. I agree, man. Andre Drummond is very limited defensively. Offensively, he's very limited offensively. Blake Griffin is definitely their best player, and if he's injured, they have nowhere to start or focus point for their offense.
And especially for the Bucks, they've got one of the most three-point minded centers in the league.
Absolutely.
And Brook Lopez, with him stretching out the floor, he can shoot a guy like Andre Drummond right off the court, like what used to happen with Hassan Whiteside in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, those ancient big men where you just sit in the paint all day and rebound, they're becoming more and more extinct. You got to have diversity in your game, man. So, that series is going to be over fast.
Right. All right. So on to the next series, we have Toronto versus Orlando. I predicted a sweep, but what about you?
I give Orlando one game. So they call it a gentleman's sweep, 5 games. Yeah, I give Orlando one game, probably game 3 or game 4 in Orlando. Again, another mismatch all the way across the board. Toronto will be fully healthy. Kawhi is fully healthy. That thigh injury seemed to just disappear when we got to Toronto. And Fred VanVleet should be back and be ready to roll as well.
Right.
So with that scoring punch coming off the bench, I really don't see how Orlando matches up throughout a long series like that. So.
Yeah. One thing that Orlando does have going well for them is they are one of the best defensive teams in the league since All-Star break, and one of the best teams in the league actually since the All-Star break. So maybe they ride some of that momentum coming in. But with Toronto, they just are too talented.
Yeah.
Like the Magic, they have Nikola Vucevic, and I could see Terrence Ross maybe having a good game against Toronto, being his old team.
Right.
And as most of you probably saw in the game against Charlotte, he exploded in the second quarter, or end of the first quarter, to really kind of put the game away.
He's very talented offensively. He can really play. Also, Orlando has Aaron Gordon, who is kind of following that Blake Griffin model, except for he's like taking a little bit more time and dedication to his offensive game early on in his career thus far.
Right.
So with him, Terrence Ross, and Vucevic, like they should be able to get them through at least one game in Orlando with some pride behind them and some crowd support. They can get one game.
One thing that worries me though about Orlando being able to get a game is Toronto has so many guys they can throw up Vucevic. You have Ibaka, Marcus Gasol, guys like Pascal Siakam, even Kawhi Leonard. That might not have the height, but is still a fantastic defender.
Very strong defender.
So if you're able to neutralize Nikola Vucevic a bit, he's a good passer, so maybe he can pass out of tough defensive coverage.
Yeah, but I don't think they have to double him. Like they won't have to double him at all. They can play him straight up, which it goes right back to the strength of the Toronto defense. They have the ability to defend everyone man against man, like with very limited help. So they're strong defensively 1 through 5, especially with Siakam out there. Like Siakam can guard. They can switch on pick and rolls. Same thing with Serge Ibaka. They can switch on pick and rolls. Marc Gasol is a very strong pick and roll defender. And then, of course, you know, Kawhi, like, you can't even use a pick and roll when Kawhi's on you. So, look, they better pray for Warren.
I don't think the Raptors are going to make it to the finals this year, but I think this is the year we finally end the.
No? You don't think they're going to make it to the finals?
No, I have the Bucks.
You have the Bucks?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
All right, so on to the third series, the one that starts in about an hour today. Philadelphia versus Brooklyn. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting series.
I agree.
I have Philadelphia winning 4-2. What's yours?
Actually, the same thing. Philly in 6. I think D'Angelo is. I wish he was still a Laker, number 1, but number 2, D'Angelo has enough punch in his game to carry them to a game by itself.
Right.
He's that explosive offensively. He's that determined as a young stud in the league right now. And then they're surrounded by defenders and shooters, what we would call 3-and-D guys.
Right.
He's surrounded by 3-and-D guys. So if the defense starts to centralize too much of their focus on D'Angelo, he doesn't have a problem kicking the ball out. And they don't have a problem shooting the ball and knocking down threes.
And if Joel Embiid's knee is worse than what it might be, if he doesn't play in Game 1, I don't know. Philadelphia is still a very talented team. They could probably still handle the Nets. But if you give the Nets one bit of confidence, they
you're in for a long game, a long series. Yeah,
like with them, they have so much confidence already that like if D'Angelo Russell or Joe Harris hits 1-3, all of a sudden it feels like the whole team's hot. And one thing that I love about Brooklyn is now in this age of the NBA, every guy is so tired of being in the NBA. He's like, I hate it. And then if you look at the Brooklyn bench, after like any sort of play, they're dancing, they're jumping up and down.
They're having fun.
They just have like really good continuity.
No one expected them to be here. No one picked them to be successful this year.
Right.
They're playing with house money. So they went out this year and just played together and had fun. And they still have room for 2 max free agents. So I think it's very important for them to have a good showing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and on to the final series in the Eastern Conference before we move west. We have Boston versus Indiana, the 4 versus the 5.
Man.
I'll let you go first.
I think Boston will win, but I will not be surprised if this goes 7. Indiana has all the games they played this year. Boston, I believe they won the season series 3-1 or 4. It was 3-1.
Yeah.
But all the games have been tight, really, besides the last one. The last one kind of got out of hand, blew out. Kyrie had an unbelievable game. But they do a great job with neutralizing Boston's star players. Indiana plays extremely great team defense, centered around Miles Turner, protecting the rim. And then they added Wesley Matthews. He used to be your guy, Wesley Matthews. Darren Collison. They're really good defensively, and they don't give up a lot of straight line drives, which, you know, as we know, kills teams. And that's what Boston does. They want to penetrate the basketball and kick it out to guys. But if you can't drive it, what are you gonna do? Like in Boston, you know, they rely heavily on Kyrie. They will rely heavily on Kyrie this series. We'll see what happens, but you know, if Indiana can steal one early in Boston, this thing could go for a long.
And we might see it on like 90 to 88 type games here with 2 of the best defensive teams in the league. And a couple times, especially early in the season, we saw Boston get off to really slow starts. And one thing that's going to kill them, maybe not in the first round as much as the second round if they play Milwaukee, is Marcus Smart's torn oblique.
That's a big blow for Boston.
Yeah, like if you guys remember the game against Philadelphia, it might have been like just a month ago. They were doing well, had the lead, probably would have won. Then Marcus Smart got a little elbow from Embiid, shoved him, and got ejected. All of a sudden, the 76ers went on a run and won.
Yeah.
So it's hard to describe what he brings to them.
He's their heart. He's their backbone. He usually is their run starter. Like he'll take a charge. He'll get in somebody's face, get the crowd involved, get the team involved. Feel like they're getting bullied or something else like that. And he's like the big bro on the team. Like he won't let anybody get mistreated. He's coming to their rescue. He's not on the floor. Who are you fearing on Boston? Like who on the other side of the floor? Like who are you going to fear? They don't have that presence. Al Horford is known for being a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Well, there's no diss. I mean, he's a nice guy. He's strong defensively around the rim, but he's a nice guy. Like he's not, he's not setting no hard screens or anything.
And if Indiana takes one against Boston at home, like I don't know, maybe this has been broken by now. This bad habit. But couldn't you see like Marcus Morris or Kyrie Irving going after the locker room and calling a guy out?
Yeah.
And maybe ruining the team chemistry.
Yeah. Kyrie has struggled this year with his leadership capabilities, and it's well documented. But what he's saying wasn't wrong. The issue with Boston is that all these young guys now feel like it's their time to shine. And in true essence, if Kyrie wasn't there, it would be their time to shine. And then you have Gordon Hayward coming back off of that horrific leg injury.
He's playing the best basketball of the season right now.
Right. So he's finally starting to get fully healthy. But, Kyrie doesn't lose very well, which he should. I mean, no one should lose very well, but he wants to win. But his willingness to win or his eagerness to win will destroy a team.
Yeah, and I think I don't remember what I was gonna say. Wait, it'll come to me. Never mind. Wait.
Never mind. We rolling.
Oh yeah, one thing though that this is what I was gonna say a while ago, and I'm just gonna use this as a substitute. One thing that I think will. Oh, now I know. I was gonna say this might be a blessing in disguise, the Marcus Smart injury, at least for this round, because they might remember what happened with Jaylen Brown last postseason.
Yeah.
And he and Marcus Smart, except for like the fire they bring to the team, they're pretty similar players.
Absolutely.
They hit threes, they play good defense.
Right.
And with the the Pacers, they don't have like a one guy you have to key in defensively on.
Right.
Maybe Bojan Bogdanovic.
Right.
But you can put a bigger guy like Tatum on him. And then with Miles Turner, who's their second most talented offensive player besides DeMarcus Sabonis, you can put Horford or Baines or whatever.
Yeah. Like they got guys that throw it though. Like Indiana's gonna have trouble scoring, but the issue is Boston could also have trouble scoring.
Right.
Like they're notorious for going on long scoring droughts.
And I think these games are going to be close. In the last 5 minutes of the game, Boston has the star power. Boston probably has the better coach in Stevens. So last 5 minutes of a game, a close game, I'd give the nod to Boston. And I think a lot of these games will be close, which is why I'm going 4-2. And I don't know if I said that earlier, but
You going 4-2?
4-2, yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I'll go 4-3 Boston.
All right.
Yeah, 4-2. I can see that as well.
Now we're moving on to the West. First series is Golden State versus the Clippers. I give the Clippers one game against Golden State, and
That's only if Steph doesn't play the entire series. If he stays home the entire series, the Clippers may win one.
So you're taking a sweep?
Sweep. Brooms. Golden State's too powerful, man. They're just too powerful. Like, they're too powerful. Just put them in the Western Conference Finals right now.
My X factors, my only two things that could move Clippers a game. Patrick Beverly, if he could get under Steph's head, get into Steph's skin, or get into his head, get into KD's head, get into Draymond's head, cause him to get texts early. It might not affect him this series, but we could see later on in the playoffs these texts coming down to calm them and maybe suspensions and stuff like that. And then, so if he can get Draymond ejected in a game or KD, who are kind of hotheads, at least have been this year, we
for some odd reason.
We could see that a game change easily. And then my second thing is, can the Warriors bench contain Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell? Because the Warriors bench, they've sacrificed a lot to get as good as they are for their top 5 starters. maybe now that they've got a guy like Bogut and Kevon Looney, they can maybe contain Montrezl Harrell. And Iguodala's getting older, and he was a little bruised coming in towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
So who's going to guard Lou Will and Montrezl when we're getting down into the stretch?
Well, what I'm saying that the Warriors are doing is that they're starting to leave their guys on the floor for longer periods of time because they have such a strong starting five. So let's say Steph goes out, they'll leave KD on the floor.
Right.
And then when KD goes out, you know, they'll bring Steph back in. And then you still have Clay, who's like, he plays like an enormous amount of minutes. And they'll just leave him on the floor, and then he'll get a blow with Livingston or Iguodala. Like, they'll just alternate like that. But you won't see the Warriors at no point in time throughout the playoffs where they won't have at least 2 All-Stars on the floor.
Yeah, and I was watching a couple starters on NBA TV last night, and one thing they brought up that was really interesting is DeMarcus Cousins gets a lot of 3-point attempts against the Clippers. In the 2 games he's played against the Clippers, he's attempted 11 threes, but he takes 11 threes per game.
Sheesh.
So
a lot of threes.
It's like a pick your poison type of thing, and
Yeah.
I guess they want to have DeMarcus shoot the threes.
Well, yeah. What I've been saying, I'm pretty sure the Clippers are going to do this. They're going to leave Draymond Green wide open.
Yeah.
So what the Warriors have done to counteract that is bring Draymond Green closer instead of being on a 3-point line. Like, he's more around the elbows.
Right.
And he still gets the same ball reversals and ball screens out of that. But that's a makeable shot for him. So I guess what they're going to do to counteract that is to leave DeMarcus Cousins wide open on the 3-point line. He's a better shooter than Draymond, but you know you want that guy who can kill you on the block, shooting threes. The same thing I would do against if I was playing like Embiid or something. If he wants to shoot 11 threes a game, have at it, brother.
Right. And whether the Clippers sweep them, or I mean the Warriors sweep them or goes to 5 or whatever, I just have a lot of admiration for what the Clippers have done this season, especially after trading Tobias Harris. I used to think of the Heat this way, but if I had to compare them to one superhero team, it'd be the Suicide Squad, because it's just a bunch of misfits that came together.
Hey, I agree.
Don't really fit those.
I agree.
All the same, but are doing really well. Doc Rivers is one of the front runners for Coach of the Year. Him, Mike Budenholzer, other guys like that. The Clippers, one thing. And I'm just going to ask this. I know you didn't want me to go too off track and throw a curveball at you, but I'm going to have to. And I know you're a Lakers fan, so don't be biased.
Curveball, Matty.
So the Lakers, as you guys probably know, and we probably would have had to gloss over this at some point.
Okay.
Magic Johnson stepped down as president. Luke Walton and the Lakers mutually parted ways. Clippers have everyone together. What's a more attractive free agent destination? I'd have to say the Clippers.
It is the Clippers. I mean, and the Lakers.
We have that on recording, right? The Clippers.
It's more attractive currently. It's more attractive currently. However,
I can stop it so you don't get the currently in.
No, currently they are more attractive currently. However, with the new hires that are hopefully that will happen very soon in Lakerland, of course it'll be the better free agent destination. Once they get stable and organized, because right now they are just all over the place. Which might not be
for a while.
No, it's going to happen soon. We're going to bring in, we got to go after a heavy hitter for president of operations, and then we got to go after another heavy hitter for head coach.
A lot of people are saying Kobe would be a good basketball president. I
disagree.
I would be very upset for the Lakers if they hired Ty Lue. Because, that didn't work out with LeBron. He fired him.
Well, no, I mean, Ty Lue took him to a chip. So, I mean, and Ty Lue did a great job.
Did Ty Lue really take him to the chip?
LeBron took him to the chip.
And Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, but Ty Lue was there. My thing is this. I think the Lakers should just empty out the bank, go after Doc Rivers, go after Mark Jackson, go after somebody who can really teach LeBron.
Right.
Because LeBron's been his own coach, his own teacher since he entered the league. They have to go after a guy that has #1 rings or a ring, or someone that has enough basketball experience to tell LeBron, you have to do this. And LeBron says, I respect you enough to listen and do that.
That shouldn't be the case, though.
He's the best player in the world, man. Do you want to have this debate right now? He's not the best player in the world?
I think he's been surpassed this year.
Okay. So you say, so we can agree that LeBron had a down year.
Yeah, and Kevin Durant didn't.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, pretty sure.
You sure about that? Who averages more points right now?
LeBron.
No, LeBron.
Who averages
LeBron.
more wins.
See, that's a team thing.
But like with Kevin Durant,
He's on
and
a team.
we gotta get back to the playoffs sooner than
Yeah.
Just one thing.
In a down year, LeBron
Okay.
had outstanding numbers.
Wait, do you want me to stop the recording and pull up videos of Kyle Kuzma pushing LeBron and
Oh,
offensive
my
players?
God.
Should I do that? Or
Oh,
do you want me to
my
show you
God.
clips of Kevin Durant getting blocked shots?
Do you want me to show you clips of Kevin Durant getting thrown out of games because he can't control his
That
mouth?
doesn't mean he's bad.
It
He might be a
definitely
bad
means he's
person,
bad.
but he's
Oh,
not a
yeah.
bad player.
Oh, it's horrible. He's killing his team. When he gets ejected,
Then how come you said move the Warriors all the way to the finals when he's not killing them too bad?
he's killing because he's surrounded by other All-Stars and all NBA players.
If
Name
LeBron were
another
a good
All.
teammate, he would get other.
Name another All-Star that LeBron has on his team. I'll wait.
All right, so on to the next series,
Thank
Denver
you.
versus San Antonio. I think this is probably going to be the most exciting series.
Who's that?
Denver versus San Antonio.
Oh.
I got you riled up now.
I think it has potential to be really good, only because San Antonio plays such great team basketball. Man, their system is amazing. But to me, I think Denver's just too talented. Like I think it could be 4-1, 4-2 maybe.
I take the Nuggets.
Games could be good, though.
Game series.
Okay.
And I just as easily could, like, I was writing stuff down last night, just taking notes, and it was hard for me to write down Denver wins because I feel like the Spurs could win. I feel like the Spurs will win actually.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know why, but I've never really accepted the Nuggets as a real contender. Maybe it's because they don't have the playoff experience, or
Right.
I just don't think they have the star power that everyone says
They
they
don't.
have.
They don't.
But, like, I just have never really considered them to be the 2 seed. It's always been, okay, well, if you're going to pick a team to play against the Warriors, I would pick Houston, Utah, OKC over
I
them,
agree
and
with
Portland
that.
when they were all healthy.
I agree with that.
So, like, I just don't accept them maybe as one of the top contenders in the West.
It's hard. I mean, to be honest, I've seen them play maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
The entire year. It's hard to watch those Denver games because they play, like, their style isn't flashy, really. It's kind of hard-nosed at times, but then they get, like, really fast-paced, and it's hard to gauge them. It's really hard to gauge them.
Yeah.
They win. I don't know if you can win with Jokic or Millsap being your best player.
Right.
Neither one can really create their own shot. Jokic to me, does way too much passing for a big man that has the skill set that he's done.
And I think LaMarcus Aldridge will outplay Jokic in this series because LaMarcus Aldridge.
That's a big statement.
This has been his best season as a Spur.
Okay.
He's had great games. The 54-point game against OKC, which was against Steven Adams, who's one of the toughest guys in the league.
Yeah.
Jokic is one of the worst shot blocking centers in the league. And LaMarcus Aldridge isn't exactly just going to let Nikola Jokic destroy him on offense either.
I agree with that.
LaMarcus Aldridge is like, he's a pretty sturdy guy. That was weird.
Yeah.
But like he does.
He's not a pushover on
Yeah.
defense. He's not a pushover on defense. I give you that.
And then even if not him, just Coach Popovich has something up his sleeve.
The schemes he has are
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
And the one thing with, like I was mentioning with the Warriors, Lakers, or Clippers series, not the Lakers because they didn't make the playoffs with LeBron. But anyways, one thing that I was mentioning with that series is can the guys get into the Warriors' head? And that's the thing I think I could see happening with Jokic because Jokic has been short-tempered, especially at the end of the season. And at the end of the season, he doesn't look like an all-NBA.
He doesn't look like the same guy.
Yeah, so
I think that fatigue is starting to wear on these guys like Denver because they haven't been here before.
Yeah.
I think that season fatigue, the pressure of being in the playoffs, the pressure of being expected to win in the playoffs is really starting to wear on this team. And then who's your guy? Who's your guy on the perimeter that can create shots, that can make shots for you, get some people in the pick
I'll
and
have
roll?
to rely on Will Barton.
Oh God.
Or not Will Barton. I mean, Will Barton, Gary Harris, and then they have. I am drawing a blank. What's his name?
Will.
He's the Canadian.
Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. That's what I was
Jamal
thinking of.
Murray.
And
Kentucky guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of the big X factors for me in this series, besides getting into Jokic's head, the Spurs are used to having, or not the Spurs, the Nuggets are used to having a better deep bench than most teams with Malik Beasley, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, guys like that. The Spurs have a really good bench as well. They have Davis Bertans, one of the better three-point shooters in the league. Rudy Gay, who's one of the most explosive scorers. And then the other thing, the Nuggets, They have some good guards that maybe you could argue could have been all-stars. I don't really see that argument going far.
Right.
And can the Spurs guards outplay them? Can Bryn Forbes and Derek White, who have had outstanding seasons, if they can outplay them, even if Jokic outplays LMA, if those two can outplay the Nuggets guard pair, I see this going.
I think the whole thing is that the Denver guards are better, but they have no experience.
Right, and they a lot of times late in games, like you'll just see them
They'll throw the game
not
away.
really
They don't
know
want
what
the
to
ball.
do.
Yeah, they don't want the ball. They'll throw it away. Like they're just all over.
Yeah,
the place.
so the Spurs, the Spurs actually don't have that. And never mind. One thing that we haven't even mentioned yet, and he's kind of been like one of the most slept-on guys in the league this year, is DeMar DeRozan. We haven't even mentioned him as an X factor for the Spurs.
Yeah.
Like, just between LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, they probably have more playoff experience
I
than
agree with that.
all of the
Denver.
Nuggets combined, except for maybe
Except for
Paul
Paul
Millsap.
Millsap. Yeah.
So I could see that series going either way.
And you
I'll
got
have
them.
to give the nod to the Spurs, contrary to what I wrote
Okay.
down.
So you're going Spurs 7?
Spurs in 7, yes.
Okay.
Because if it's a 7-game series, or Game 7, I mean.
If
who do
they
you
go to
have on
7,
board? The Spurs
yeah.
or
If
the
they go
Nuggets in a
7, I'll go
seven-game?
Spurs.
Yeah.
If it gets to 7, I'll go Spurs. So like I said, the advantage is for Denver to take them out early if they can.
Right.
If they can. So I'm going Denver in 5 or 6. But it gets to 7.
I think the big thing is who can play better on the road. Because neither of these teams are great road teams.
Yeah.
The Spurs and Nuggets are both kind of young teams, especially the Nuggets.
It's hard to win in San Antonio. It's so loud there, and it's really hard to win in Denver because of the altitude, and it's just.
If either of those teams can steal one of the first 4 games at an opponent's arena, then I'd give them
I agree with that. I agree with that.
the higher chances. So on to the second to last series, which is OKC versus Portland, the 3-6 matchup. This still is setting up to be a great series, even with the injury of Nurkic. So I'll hand it over to you. What is the series going to?
6. OKC.
OKC in 6.
4-2. Russell's starting to get turned up. Playoff Russ is starting to get going. Paul George is rounding back into form. He had a major drought right after the All-Star break. I think maybe his legs got tired, and he had a shoulder issue as well. But their role players are now stepping up. So Steven Adams is doing great on the boards, and of course he's hitting his little baby hooks or floaters, whatever shot that is. But his field goal percentage is through the roof.
Right.
And then you have the Grant boy,
Jeremy Grant.
is really playing well. And I mean, if all of those guys are doing a job, and Russ can stay out of hero mode,
Right.
and just be point guard Russ, and be aggressive, but aggressive doesn't mean you got to shoot all the time. They can win this series hands down.
I'm gonna take OKC also in 6. I had them in 5 originally, but you just kind of talked me out of that. The Thunder have one of the best defenses in the league. They're ranked 4th in defensive rating.
Yeah.
So if they can get the ball out of Dame's hands, I think one of the most underrated players in the league is CJ McCollum. He's one of my favorites.
He just came back from an injury.
Yeah. So that's one thing. If he's not 100%, then they can go at him on defense. And, then he won't pose much of a threat on offense. And the Thunder have a lot of great wing defenders. You can put Paul George on Damian Lillard, or just trap and do what they did against the Pelicans, or what the Pelicans did against the Blazers last year. Because we all saw how they just neutralized the Denver guards, Portland guards.
Yeah.
So if OKC has a defensive scheme similar to that, and they can just remove the offensive star power of Lillard and McCollum, then we're in for a short series.
Because that's the only place they're going to score.
Right.
Since the injury to the big guy, there's no one else that's going to provide a scoring punch for Portland.
Yeah.
Or enough poise to carry them through a tight game. It's either CJ or it's going to be Dame.
Yeah, and one thing that really kills the Trailblazers, besides the Nurkic injury, is they signed Enes Kanter, who from the surface might not look that bad.
It's pretty bad.
But if he's on the court, I mean, even Steven Adams can blow by him. He's one of the worst defensive players in the league.
Jeez.
He's a solid offensive player. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's a double machine.
If he's in the game, just pick and roll every time.
Just every time.
Westbrook, Paul George, even Terrence Ferguson and Jeremy Grant.
It's
just an easy bucket every time.
Yeah.
So with him not I mean,
he's gonna have to play more
it's the
minutes.
point where he might not even have to play. Like,
Yeah,
and they'll
like-
put in Zach Collins and the young guys.
Man, like, but I mean, but to start out, because of his stature, he's gonna have to play some.
Right.
Because Steven Adams he's gonna wear those young guys out. Because Steven Adams goes after every rebound. I'm talking about every rebound with reckless abandon sometimes. So you're gonna need a guy who's big, 7 feet tall, about 275 pounds, that can bang around with Steven Adams. Those young guys can't handle that kind of brute right now.
That's a very specific game plan.
Yeah.
You hear that, Blazers? What do you say? 6'7", 275.
Huh?
6'7", 275. That's your that's the box that those are the box checks you need to fit.
No.
Wait, no, how tall? I heard the 275.
It's 7 feet.
All right.
7 feet. Ennis County is about 7
We are
feet.
now we are holding auditions for anyone who's 7 feet, 275 pounds.
Come on
Email
here.
us or DM us at the DebateMates. Let us know. We'll send you into the Blazers.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll send you straight on into the Blazers, help you out, man. We'll get Dame some help, man. I like Dame, man.
Yeah.
And they really have to win this series, though.
If they don't win, do you see what happened to Toronto happening to them?
Yeah, it's one of them has to go.
Right.
Dame or CJ, one of them has to go. They have to win the series. The coach may get fired. The GM may get fired. Like something has to happen because this has been the same team they've taken to the playoffs for the past 3-4 years. I mean, they've been getting bounced every year.
Right. And they've had pretty bad luck seeding wise.
Man, like it's a tough draw. This is a tough draw. This is actually one of the worst matchups for them.
Right.
If the season ended a week ago, they'd have played the Clippers. I'd have picked Portland hands down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But Clippers dropped a couple games, and OKC won on a little winning streak, and then here we go, 3-6 matchup,
Yep.
and it's just not a good look for Portland. I don't see this going in their favor at all.
And on to the final series, we have Houston versus Utah. And one thing
This
I just
gonna
want
be
to
a good
say
series.
off the bat, it's mind-blowing that Houston won't even have the chance unless they beat the Warriors to make it to the conference finals. Like, that's the conference finals that we want to see.
This is going to be the best series.
Those two teams, Golden State and Houston, assuming they both win their first series rounds, that they're playing for the finals.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not the championship, but at least
But at
a
least
chance
the
to
finals.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And so, anyways, on to the predictions. I'm taking Houston in 7.
Okay.
What about you?
Houston in 7. I'll go with Houston in 7. I really want to go Houston in 6, but I don't know if Houston can get a game on Utah's floor.
Right.
Donovan Mitchell has been outstanding in his second year. Gobert is healthy. Rubio is really good. They got a lot of pieces in Utah.
Right.
I really feel bad for Utah that they had to play Houston in the first round.
Right.
Wish they would have won a little bit more. They're probably more deserving of that 3 seed. They'd probably beat the crap out of OKC.
Probably, yeah.
But Houston shoots so many threes, man. Like, they just broke their own record and then set a new one, like, in the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, James Harden is a scoring machine. Like, who are you going to put on him? Like, if you put Donovan Mitchell on him, you're going to kill Donovan Mitchell on offense because he has to run around and try to defend this guy. Like, Houston is 7. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 6. And Houston gets 1 win. It would probably be that 6th game on Utah's floor.
This is my X factor for Utah. We all know Chris Paul's injury history in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I heard this on the starters last night. I thought it was a really good point. Whoever Chris Paul is guarding, make him do a little bit of running on defense. Test out how good those hamstrings really are. Cause
those hamstrings are really
I
bad.
mean, at the beginning of he went out in the Western Conference Finals, so obviously they must have been really bad with a chance to go to the finals.
Right.
And then at the beginning of the season, we were talking about Chris Paul being like not even a starting caliber player in the league because he just wasn't the same guy. He wasn't quick.
He gets hurt a lot.
Now he's played more like himself recently, but if Ricky Rubio, Donovan Mitchell, whoever he is guarding, just sprints him down back corner to corner, whatever.
I think putting him in pick and roll scenarios will also test out those hamstrings because he has to get low and then make sure that you get some solid contact on those screens with Derek Favors. Specifically, who's a big guy, 6'9", about 250, somewhere around there. He's a big guy.
So he doesn't fit the
No, he can't go to Portland.
Steven Adams.
No, he can't go to Portland.
Okay.
No, he can't guard him. But Houston, they have a couple, dogs, little junkyard dogs on their side as well. And since the addition of those guys, Kenneth Faried in particular, they've really, become more of a defensive-minded group that cleans up on the glass and then gets out and runs in transition. So this is probably be one of my best series to watch.
Right.
Houston and Utah. So, like I said, it could go 6 if Houston could get one on Utah's floor, but if they cannot, they'll close them out in a game 7. But the interesting thing is, if it goes 7 games, will James Harden show up? He's horrific in a game 7.
Yeah.
He is horrific in 7s.
Yeah.
So, hey, this could be a really good series. I wouldn't be surprised if Utah gets an upset.
Yeah.
But
And if one thing that really bodes well for Utah, I think, is since they have Rudy Gobert in the center spot, who will most likely slide into guard Capella.
yeah, he can.
If they can neutralize the Harden Capella prolific alley-oop pick and roll,
Right.
then that really kind of neutralizes a lot of the Houston offense, because that's what it's mostly based around. Because after you get Capella working and getting all those dunks, then that leaves open the corners, and now you have guys like PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon getting hot,
Right.
and then it's just a 3-point parade. So if they can close that lob, I think that opens a lot of doors for them defensively, and then they can start breaks or whatever.
I agree.
Go on runs.
I agree. X Factor, Joe Ingles.
Triangles.
Joe Ingles. He's a very solid defender.
The Oldie.
Very solid defender. But the guy can play, man.
Yeah.
He can play, man. I like Joe Ingles, man. X Factor, Joe Ingles.
Yeah, if he walked into the Y and to play, you wouldn't even pick him.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
He and Alex Caruso.
I don't want to discuss Laker matters right now. Alex Caruso. He was a starting point guard for the past week and a half. Man, I feel your jabs, man. Laker Nation, we had a rough season, man. We had a rough season. Injuries killed us. It was not LeBron James. It was injuries. And injuries alone. Correct, Matt?
Incorrect. You can't tell me that if Lonzo Ball since Lonzo Ball got injured, with LeBron coming back, they still shouldn't have made a playoff push with Ingram and Kuzma. Those injuries didn't show up till the end of the season, and they were because they were already out. This team should have been talented enough.
They were talented enough. They absolutely were. But you know what happened? They're young guys. And then when that trade rumor came around, they didn't have.
And who was the catalyst in that?
Anthony Davis.
This guy named you
And
probably
Rich
heard of
Paul.
him, LeBron.
No. He was not the He was not the catalyst. Anthony Davis and Rich
Calling
Paul.
out the young guys. If you don't want to win, then you're not in the right organization. If you don't want
It's
to win,
true.
then don't play with the Lakers.
It's true. If you don't want to win, you don't belong in the Laker uniform. That is true. That is true. You go to the Lakers to win.
Wait,
You
so are the
don't-
Lakers going to trade LeBron?
No, they're not going to trade
I thought you
LeBron.
said if they want to win.
That's why they have LeBron, to win.
It didn't work out so well.
We'll see. We'll see who you're a fan of next year when Kevin Durant walks out of Oracle.
New York, if he goes there. All right, so
You think that he'll win in New York?
I don't care. I'm a loyal fan.
To who? Kevin
Kevin
Durant?
Durant.
Oh my God.
All right.
I'm a loyal fan to the Lakers. Okay, to the Lakers.
You must be pretty loyal if you still can like them now.
Yeah. I still love them.
You want to test my loyalty? I'm an Orioles fan, and my favorite player is Chris Davis, who hasn't gotten a hit in his last 51 at bats. So
Yeah,
don't test it.
Yeah, he's slumping right now.
All right, so do you want to do round by round through the rest of it, or just skip to the finals?
Who you have in the finals? I want to hear this.
Just my matchup or my
Yeah.
win?
No, who you got in the finals?
Golden State over Milwaukee in 5.
Golden State. Oh.
If Marcus Smart is healthy, I would give the nod to the Celtics.
Okay, wait. Okay, all right. Let's go back a
Okay,
little
let
bit.
us.
Eastern Conference Finals. Who do you have?
Milwaukee and Toronto.
Okay, so you have Milwaukee and Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes,
So you think Philly's going to lose to Toronto?
I do. You didn't you just say you thought Toronto was going to make the finals?
I didn't say that. I just wanted to know what you thought. That's it. That's all
Yeah,
I
I
want
have
to know.
Milwaukee over.
Milwaukee
One
over
thing
Toronto, Eastern
I'm
Conference
having
Finals.
trouble going for Milwaukee because they're so young and they don't have a lot of experience.
Mm.
But they just played the best system. They have arguably the best coach in the league. And this Toronto team doesn't have a whole lot of time together. and their coach is new.
See, this is where I disagree with you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think Toronto is going to the finals.
Yeah.
Simply because that group has been together, minus Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
But all they did was take DeRozan out and take
Kawhi.
the big man. What was it, Valanciunas?
Yeah, Valanciunas.
They took Valanciunas out and put in Marc Gasol. Took DeMar DeRozan out and got Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
These are upgrades.
Right.
These, you know what I'm saying? These are upgrades, and everybody else is the same.
The Eastern Conference is really hard to pick for me because, like, every round, like even the first round, it's kind of unpredictable with some of these teams. And then when you get into the second round, when it's even the better teams playing, Boston could beat Milwaukee. I think we could both agree on that. With Marcus Smart, Boston could beat Milwaukee, and I think we both could agree that Philadelphia could beat Toronto.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe. I just, I don't think. To me, I don't think Philadelphia gels well.
Yeah.
They got, to me, in my opinion, they got too many guys to do the same thing. Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Embiid. Like they all do the same thing. And then you have Ben Simmons, who can't shoot a 15-foot jump shot.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. How can't you shoot a 15-foot jump shot, man? But he could be an unbelievable talent. Like, he has all the tools. I just don't understand how you go from your rookie season being as great as it was and then come back for your sophomore campaign and can't shoot a 15-foot jump
He
shot.
hasn't really gotten any better.
No, he hasn't gotten better at all, in my opinion. He just hasn't gotten better. He does the same thing he did last year. He has added nothing to his game. So I just don't know how serious he's taking the game right now. But I mean, if he had at least a 15-foot jump shot, I would pick Philadelphia in a landslide against anybody in the East.
So now, I want to ask you about the Western Conference Finals. So you picked Denver versus OKC being your semis. So do you have a Warriors Thunder or Warriors Nuggets Western Conference Final?
Warriors Nuggets probably. What's the
Warriors
conference? It doesn't even matter who they're playing.
I want them to play the Thunder.
Because if Golden State gets to the West Conference Finals, they're going to the finals. Like, no one on the bottom side of the bracket
Right.
can compete with them.
Except for Houston and Utah.
Right. But they would play them in the second round.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So on the bottom side of that bracket, that 2-7, that 3-6, those 4 teams can't compete with Golden State.
Right.
What they did to Denver this year was like in the middle of a slump.
If
it
we
was
had
like,
a Golden State versus Denver Western Conference Finals, I'd take Golden State in a sweep, honestly.
yeah, it's gonna be a sleep. Like Golden State may not lose, but maybe 2 games
In the whole
in the whole playoffs,
Yeah. I don't think the finals are going to be that exciting. I think the Warriors will walk over anything.
unless they play Toronto. I think-
Or healthy Boston.
Or yeah, I think Milwaukee can give them some issues, and I think Milwaukee can give them some issues. Philadelphia can really give them some issues with their size. Toronto can be competitive. I don't know if Toronto can score enough to keep up
Right.
with Golden State. I think Philadelphia, if Embiid is playing like Shaq, can hurt them. But Milwaukee can really hurt them because, like I said, when they go small, Giannis is at the 5.
Right.
That can really mess up Golden State and what they're trying to do,
Well, but then you can put KD at the 5.
and he will destroy KD. I know KD's your man.
No.
Giannis is better than KD.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding.
No, this is crazy. What do you mean? How?
Giannis is better than KD, man.
Nice.
LeBron, Giannis, KD,
Down here. Yeah.
James Harden.
KD,
Come on, bro.
Giannis, LeBron.
Come on,
Okay,
man.
I'm gonna tell you why KD's better.
I'm listening.
All right. KD, I was reading this article on The Ringer yesterday,
Okay.
and it was talking about how every year Kevin Durant has added something more to his game and is the most versatile player in the league.
What do you add
Here's
to his
why.
game this year?
What do you add to his
Technical
game?
fouls?
He averaged.
Being a bad teammate? That's what he added to his game
He
this year.
averaged more assists this year than Steph Curry, the Warriors point guard. All right.
Come on. Really?
Here's what else he's added.
Really?
He's become one of the best defenders in the league. One of the best wing defenders. He's one of
You can't say that with a straight
he's
face.
become one of the better defenders. Not best defenders, one of the better defenders. He's a great passer, he's a great rebounder. He can shoot 3-pointers. He can put the ball on the floor as a 7-footer. He's a fantastic ball handler. 3-point shooter, I just mentioned that. Mid-range jumper is one of his best attributes.
Okay.
He can get to the rim, he can dunk, he can lay it
He
up.
can
pass,
score.
He can defend.
He can score.
Defend, pass, and rebound.
He can score.
Defend, pass, and rebound.
And the only reason he can pass is because he's surrounded by 4 other All-Stars. That's why he can pass. You can pass right now. You go to Golden State right now and average 6 assists. You, right now, Matthew Smartwork, today. If you're surrounded by that kind of talent, all you gotta do is do this. Just come down, bounce pass, chest pass, overhand pass, whatever you want to do. Just give it to them. Just make sure they catch it. All you gotta do is make sure they catch it. If they catch it, it's gonna be an assist. Like, that's the talent he's surrounded by. He's not a good passer. He's not a great passer.
He used to only do ISO, though, and now he's a passer.
Stop, man. Stop. Stop it. Come on, man.
You know what? Well, Kobe was never that good.
Here we go with the Kobe. Look, okay. Kobe, the 3rd greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth. 3rd.
Okay.
Kareem, MJ, Kobe.
You think Kareem's the best player ever?
Absolutely.
All right.
Hands down. Hands down.
Good thing no one watches till the end of the videos.
Hands down. Kareem is the best basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth.
All right.
The gentle giant, the sky hook, has more rings, more MVPs. Like,
But played in a worse era.
oh, really?
Yeah.
He played in the era where they were like really fighting each other.
That's my biggest pet peeve with the NBA. Is everyone's like, oh, I hate the NBA now because everyone's so soft. Like,
It was tough back then.
it still is.
No, it's not.
It still is.
I mean, you have tough guys, but the NBA as a whole is not tough.
Okay. All right. So let's just get our finals predictions, then we'll wrap up this video.
Golden State over Toronto 4-1.
All right, and I have Golden State over Milwaukee. Same 4-1.
4-1.
Yep. Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant is
Who's your Finals MVP?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. Same. I got Kevin Durant as well. You know, Steph Curry probably should have won Finals MVP last year.
Debatable.
We'll have that debate again later.
Yeah.
Who's the best Warrior?
Kevin Durant, easily.
Who's the most important Warrior?
I,
Yeah, go ahead, say it. Say his name. Say his name.
his name.
You know whose name we talking about.
Who, Kevin Durant?
Steph Curry.
He's okay.
Why you won't get that man his props, man?
I don't like Steph Curry all that much.
He's a 2-time MVP. How many MVPs does Kevin Durant have? Okay.
He's got a couple All-Star Game MVPs, 2 Finals MVPs. He averages the 3rd most points in the finals out of every player that's ever played in the finals.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
And regular season MVP. Probably should have won more.
And I'm asking you, how many regular season MVPs does Kevin Durant have?
1.
Okay, thank you. You know, one of Steph Curry's MVPs was unanimous.
I do know that.
Unanimous.
Oh, then I guess he's better than LeBron. I mean,
I
how
didn't
many
say-
unanimous?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Two can play at that game.
Whoa, whoa. All I said was who is the most important Warrior.
Alright, so that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Stretch for coming on at a great time. Hopefully you can come again soon.
Absolutely, man.
So just remember to keep watching. We'll keep updating you with playoffs, and then once that's over, go into free agency, update you guys on that. Keep watching, tell all your friends, tell all your family. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever you gotta do. Just make sure to keep watching and enjoy the playoffs.
There you go. Come follow me on Instagram @_TNBA. Facebook, you can type in Tribe Nation Basketball Academy and join the fun, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, man. You want me to hit the power?
The camera's not gonna turn off.